Yeah, and Felder, I like your point on he's not McNamara. Again, no disrespect. I'm from the state of Michigan. Cade McNamara can win you a lot of ball games, but
Yes,
this is a guy who can step up and make the NFL throws. This is a guy who has the top end talent that just hasn't translated in the record sheet at all how Clemson expected it would. But this year so far it is. And
yeah.
I think that the concept of this still being a quarterback battle to me is insane after last week. It should be dead. If it wasn't dead already, it should be very clearly dead now. But let's flip to the other team I mentioned, Texas A&M, who is back and forth between their quarterbacks. And then we get Max Johnson in. He's 2-0 as a starter. They sneak away with the win against Arkansas, a crazy game, some insane plays in that game in the neutral site in Dallas. Let's say this. If you're Texas A&M, do you feel confident with Max Johnson as your guy that you can go out and compete in that conference, Felder?
I mean, I think they have to, right? Like, what good does it do them to not feel confident? Like, if you don't think that this is the guy, who's going to be the guy? Because you don't have any other guys. So you either think you can compete and think you can do it, or you can't. But let's look, like, we're talking about someone who went, hang on, 11 for 21. That's not like, he didn't beat the world.
So let me go back to
But he made the plays when they needed him to, whereas Haynes King has not made those plays, and Haynes King's been in this offense for 3 years.
Which is my point, where I'm not saying he's a world beater. I'm saying that he did what he had to do to help them get a win over an Arkansas team that I thought really dropped they crapped the bed, right? And that after coming out hot, they just really sat on their hands. And I look at this and obviously we're going to figure out what's going on with Ainias Smith, but I look at them and I look at Max Johnson and I think, yes, he's fine. But he's fine in the same way that Zach Calzada was fine. And Zach Calzada is the third-string quarterback at Auburn now.
Yeah.
Am I crazy for that?
No, I don't think you are. And you mentioned Ainias Smith, reports that he is out for the season. So thoughts up to Smith and his family and that team.
That's rough.
Very rough. I mean, superstar game breaker type player. So to bring this full circle, Felder, back to Cade McNamara in the Max Johnson conversation. No matter what we say about Cade McNamara and his arm talent or anything about his ability as a quarterback, there's that clip of him, the very first game, he took the ball under center against Rutgers, telling the whole locker room, what if we win out? And that team was nuts. But there was something about that man in the locker room looking guys in the eyes that resonated, where you would say we can go up against Ohio State and we can win that game. And people felt that, and it manifested itself into reality. When I talk belief, do they believe they have a chance? With Max Johnson at the helm, can they really go into a locker room together before a game against Alabama or before a game against Georgia? And do those guys in that room really believe that they're going to win that game with Max Johnson under center?
Well, I think because of what happened a year ago with as the aforementioned Zach Calzada, yeah, they do believe it. I think they do believe it. And so it's going to be interesting to see how it shakes out. But this is going to be an A&M team that every game is going to be one of those, like, just how do we handle this? What are we going to get to? Because this is a team that is in a fight with App State. They're in a fight with Miami. They're in a fight with Arkansas. Every game for them is going to be a fight. And I think, I mean, we all just watched the Auburn versus Mizzou game.
Horrible game. Horrible. Nobody won that game. It's just one team actually lost the game. I mean, nobody wanted to win that game. The way that they played that game, like, I mean, if you're Mizzou, you've got to be sick to your stomach.
Yes.
About the way that ended. But I don't want to get off too far because I actually called that Arkansas Texas A&M game.
Right. So you tell me. You're the expert. You tell me.
Right, but I wanted to hear you guys banter. I mean, I'm just a guy sitting next to another guy talking to another guy, but I'm not a piccolo player. But the whole point is that, like, what you say about Texas A&M is so young.
Yes.
That's the problem. You have 24 freshmen who have played significant time for you.
Yep.
And that's where the struggle. They had 9 offensive penalties. 6 were pre-snap.
Yeah.
You are not supposed to win a football game with that. They had a delay of game after a kickoff, Felder.
Yep. Yeah. They had another one after a timeout.
On the sideline.
They had another one after a timeout. Like, it's bad.
It didn't make it to the huddle. Like, what is wrong with you? But I will say this. Devon Achane.
Beast.
I see your Mo Ibrahim, and I raise you a Devon Achane. That kid is right up there with him, because that 63-yard run that he pulled, that was before the whole kerfluffle when Arkansas is going down and the KJ Jefferson jumped from the 5. Who jumps from the 5 thinking they're in the end zone? I digress. But
Sean Jackson.
Yeah, that is true. Yes. But you literally needed a play at the very worst moment because you were down 14-0. And Devon Achane said, hold my beer real fast. Let me go ahead and put us in position right down the field. And then to have that confidence, right after they score, you go down you're now down 14-7. Arkansas is driving. They are inside your 5. And to have that heads up play, that changed it. And that was a 23-0 run. Yep. They had confidence. The defense was picking up. They had 4 freshmen playing defensive end for them.
Yep.
Or true 17-year-old freshmen playing in that game against that experienced Arkansas line that I watched absolutely steamroll South Carolina 2 weeks prior. Where they were actually starting to thud guys up and stun them. And Arkansas got lazy. They really walked into AT&T Stadium in the Jerry's world and thought they were going to win this game just by showing up. And they pulled their foot off the pedal. And that's when they got stunned. And I have to say this, I said this earlier. I saw a tweet when I was leaving the stadium with my crew. Watching the tweet. It said, so if you miss a field goal and it hits an upright, it's called a doink. But if it's Arkansas, wouldn't you call it an oink?
I have one question to ask you, Max, about Arkansas. Excuse me, about A&M. They are playing a lot of freshmen. They got young guys. What does this look like Halloween?
Halloween, by the time you get to Halloween, I think those freshmen have grown up.
You're either over or you're under.
I think they're over.
They're over. Okay.
I think they're over just because those guys, and with young guys, every play goes into the data bank.
Sure. I think mentally, I'm talking bodies.
Oh no.
In the SEC. What do those bodies look like? Can they still do it physically?
Yeah, those kids, if you saw them pregame when I was walking around the field,
I love it.
That don't look like a 17-year-old. I'm just gonna tell you, hey, listen, that Texas A&M NIL money bought some figurines.
Okay.
And they bought some statues. Half the kids were chiseled out of marble. So I think they physically have it, and I think mentally it'll catch up to the body.
I love that. That's the part of football I love. I had to ask you because you've seen them in person, and because we always hear about the freshman wall, and that freshman wall is always around Halloween.
Yeah.
Last month of this, and then you go into November and you're like, these guys don't got it no more. And I wanted it, so I had to ask about it. All right, Greg. I'm giving it, Greg. Where do we got to go?
Fellas, this was fantastic. And also, just for the record, when we talk NIL money, I'm glad somebody's NIL money is buying something, because John Ruiz's money down in Miami, Florida, not buying whatever he thought it was buying. Let's just throw that out there.
We're dropping our merch.
We got to start calling Underwood Daddy Brad.
I'm a big pod guy.
Breaking news. The Field of 68 has an online store, and it's your one-stop shop for the latest and greatest merch in college basketball and college football. You can find shirts to support your favorite team, make fun of your rival team, or boast Field of 68 catchphrases like Daddy Brad, Cussin' and Discussin', and the Star Heels. Go to www.fieldof68.shop today and enter promo code TOUCHDOWN for 20% off at checkout.